There's a little girl who was listening to a preacher talk about inviting Jesus into her life. She's just a little girl, and at the end of the preach, she came up to the preacher. She said, "I really liked your sermon." He said, "Thank you so much." But she said, "There's just one problem." He said, "What is it?" She said, "If I asked Jesus to come into my life," she looked at the preacher, "he would stick out of me all over the place. He's too big for me." You know, when the first Christians were called Christians, it wasn't really a positive thing. They were sort of mocking them. They were saying, these are these people who look and act like little Christs in the world, like little Jesuses in the world. And the girl was right when she spoke to the preacher that if you invite Jesus into your life, he'll stick out of you all over the place because he's bigger than us. And sometimes looking at the person of Jesus is one of the most helpful things. The founder and perfecter of our faith, the creator of all these things we choose to profess and to live out, Jesus is at the center of those things. And one of the characteristics of Jesus I love most of all is his willingness to interact with us. One of the great examples of this is in the first chapter of Mark, where a man with leprosy comes to him. This is at the beginning of Jesus' ministry. And the leper kneels in front of Jesus and begs to be healed. This is Mark 1:40. And he says, "If you are willing, you can heal me and make me clean." It's such a great statement. If you are willing, you can heal me and make me clean. I think sometimes, like a leper, we wonder if God's willing. I wonder sometimes if God's willing when I feel ashamed, or I feel unclean, or I feel unworthy, or I feel dirty. See, lepers in those days, we know, were ostracized. They weren't allowed to be in public spaces. This guy wasn't supposed to be here. He shouldn't be kneeling in front of Jesus. He should be at his distance, at least 30 feet away, shouting out, "Unclean, unclean." But he defied all those things to come into this space and ask Jesus if he was willing. And here's the thing we know about Jesus, and maybe you don't know about Jesus, but you should, because it's one of the best things about Jesus. He says this, "I am willing." I am willing to defy social customs, to come near to you even in your uncleanliness, to say, "I don't care, I'm not afraid, I'm not going to exclude you like everybody else has excluded you. I choose to reach out," this is what Jesus does, "and touch you and make you clean." Jesus is willing to accept you. Jesus is willing to forgive you. Jesus is willing to heal you. Jesus is willing to cleanse you. I am willing. What is it that you need? Will you be bold enough to come to Jesus, because you can hear Jesus say, "I am willing"?